We've been involved in the avenues for about 16 months now. Our particular area is Cathedral Street and North Hanover Street. So we're working as part of the design team that Derek's mentioned with civic engineers and urban movement, building on a lot of the baseline work that they've done to pretty much do what is classified as stage 2 reports for both of these streets. So some of the principles that Derek's went through, we're using, applying to our streets. He's already mentioned about some of the raised tables, crossing points, space reallocation. All that stuff is at the back of our mind when we were designing this. In terms of the two areas that we're talking about, they both are interrelated and close to the city centre, and both have old and new destinations. So North Hanover links George Square up to what is going to be Sight Hill via a bridge. You've maybe heard about the bridge that's going to cross the motorway. Cathedral links Bath Street right through to the cathedral itself. So all really key destinations, and one of the things is to try and kind of extend that city centre image out into these areas. Some of the work that urban movement done in terms of a baseline sense and looking at our areas is that the area closest to North Hanover and parts of the High Street, Castle Street, going into the M8 are quite intimidating environments, very traffic dominant and quite transitional. Some development hasn't happened for a long time, whereas North Hanover, as I'll come to, has actually got a lot of new development proposed, so it's trying to kind of look at that to try and really improve the image of the areas, which was a key issue. And collectively, as two streets, looking at it as a bit of a landscape planning exercise, which was taken, again, the urban movement data was looking where the conservation areas are, where are the current active travel routes, where are the current cycle station points, where people move around, where do people move and walk through the campus areas, of which there are 3 in our intersecting street. So that was key, just to get an understanding of both areas. The principles that we adopted with that I feel are really important. We're designing areas, but we need to understand what they're about in an analysis sense. So we went through a whole range of topics in the street, and that could be from townscape right through to physical components, connectivity, human usage, climate, everything. And this was almost like a little bit of a field survey approach, which allowed us to look at and split the streets into a few character areas, and from that we came up with some design objectives that were specific to those streets, and it was definitely the fact to try and enhance the destinations of the area, definitely enhancing the image of the place, and definitely making areas more welcoming and obvious as you come into the city centre, and obviously to enhance the campus character of Cathedral Street itself. I thought I'd just quickly touch on consultation. Derek mentioned that. Again, we've not just sort of got onto the drawing board and doing designs. It was quite a whole series of things. We door knocked all the commercial and developers in the area to tell them something was happening. We had a site walkabout with the disabled groups to understand what the street is like, what constraints are there at the minute, so that was undertaken. Our consultation event hasn't happened yet, but that's a picture of what happened at the avenues, which is at Argyll Street, which is more a retail zone, but it was an interactive consultation to get public views. So for us it was really important just to find out who all the key stakeholders were and talk to them. Going on to Cathedral Street itself, I'm sure you all know of the street, and what we did is we split it into 4 character areas. So we've got Cathedral Square, Stirling Road Junction, the campus, the former area and the area of the City of Glasgow College, and then the link that goes to Bath Street from the intersection at North Hanover. I think they warrant that selection. They are different because of townscape, because of frontage activity. There's some pictures along the bottom here to show you that. There's also some added complications or opportunities. You could look at that as some of the public realm has actually been done along this street at the sports building and the City of Glasgow College. So we had to take that into account as we looked at the designs. Cathedral Square itself for us was a really key area and something that we looked at really early. We're aware of the traffic, how traffic dominant it is, but not let that dominate our design thinking. And what we looked at was just how it's like a bit of a historical quarter, backcloth by the necropolis. We're also fully aware that tourists tend to come by bus to Collins Street, but what we are trying to do is just encourage, as the avenue should, encourage people to walk and come to the destination from this along the street towards the cathedral. So you're actually trying to really forge that link into the historic quarter. As it stands at the minute, there was a few things. With all of the work that we've done, we've not really we've not confined ourselves to a red line boundary. We've tried to look at how we can maybe bring other spaces into play. One of the things that we felt was lacking was maybe the visual interaction with some of these features has kind of run its course, and by some simple management of this area and decluttering, you could extend the character out towards Cathedral Street. So we thought that was a kind of key issue, and we've come up with some ideas for that kind of looked at stripping out and slicing out a little bit of the open space here. We then subsequently pared that back a bit on the basis that these poplar trees are quite sensitive and could be just tree canopy lifted and slice an area off the open space just to give you this link into the historic quarter. So that was the current sort of design thinking, and obviously trying to extend an area or create a raised table out towards Cathedral Street, but that's subject to review following a lot of traffic and modelling work, etc. But the premise is to try and make this area a lot more palatable for cyclists and pedestrians as they walk along Cathedral Street. This is a draft visual, a first iteration that will be changed, but this sort of gives you the idea of the premise of just decluttering this side, making this pedestrian area pedestrian priority and raised so pedestrians get priority, and just having a better link straight to what is a key city destination. For the other areas along Cathedral Street, there were some key crossing points, and we had a lot of discussions with the university and just observed where the kind of key hotspots for people crossing the road. At the minute, it's quite an intimidating environment. It was to try and pick on the key crossing points, have raised tables and public realm areas at key areas, and also try and work with some of the areas that have been done already to try and widen the footpaths a little bit and just making them more easier to walk on, because at peak times when all the students are there, the pavements are almost at capacity to take the student flow. This is another draft image of further up at the Stirling Road triangle. The idea here was, at the minute it's quite an oppressive junction, was to try and bring some of these little gap sites into play, have a bit of a kind of almost an arrival point. This is the start of the campus, and also have a traffic calming measure that could also be dual purpose and have a public realm function. So quickly moving to North Hanover, it's a completely different street. It's a lot wider. It has a whole raft of different things happening that are going to, in terms of development change. We have the proposals at Queen Street, we have the proposals in the former college, we have the proposals at the corner, which is going to be student accommodation. There's a future development site here, there's a student accommodation site on there, then there's a bridge, and then there's a site hill. So we had a lot of discussions with the more advanced developers, of just to make them aware that the avenues is happening and how our designs would dovetail with their proposals. So it was quite a complex sort of network of development proposals along the street. Lower down the street, what we would describe as Lower North Hanover, we're seen as a really key area. It's the link to George Square. It's quite a dark and oppressive environment because of the high buildings. But yeah, it's close up to Townhead and College Lands, so we definitely saw this as one of the key areas that would then lead further on up to North Hanover. We also started looking at areas further up North Hanover near Buchanan Street bus station, just in a very early sense, coming up with some ideas. There's already landscaping along the side of Townhead, but it was to try and bring that up to speed a little bit and try and make it a bit more engaging for people to sit. So you've got pretty much a bit of a backbone of landscape there. It just needs to be presented in a different way. So that was the early kind of thinking with that. That's now sort of developed into putting the avenues premises on with the cycle lanes in the past, the opportunity to have a wider path and quite a pleasant pedestrian experience, which is the opposite of what you would experience at the minute. We're also kind of looking at other little adjoining gap sites that are a bit lost beside Caledonian University, and how they could come into play and just with a softer touch and get more people to use them and be a bit more visually appealing. This is one of the early views that was also done in the concept report for the avenues. That's just upgraded, so you can see what the premise of what I was talking about, to have the landscape edge treated, have areas for seating, a wider footway, and have the avenues space reallocation there in the centre, and have a new footway on the side. Also with a raised table at the corner here, which will tie into, this is quite a popular travel route through into Townhead, which was one of the things we felt was really important, how to engage with that area of Townhead. Just going back to lower North Hanover, this is sort of a key junction that you can see going up to Bath Street, and you've got Queen Street here in the corner. There's going to be development happening in this area. There's also quite an oppressive area in the corner where there's a lot of services and it's just hardscape, so that was something that we looked at in detail, how we could just make this what is a really busy junction at peak times with people, is to try and make it more people focused. The photos looking down lower North Hanover, if you're just aware of that area, it's quite a barren area, very traffic dominant. There's a wall along the side. There's the old buildings of the College and Building and Printing. So at the minute, it's not a pleasant place really to walk around. So we looked at how we could improve that, and one of the things was there's a low level railway going down underneath, so we felt that actually this one area that we could maybe do more with lighting rather than trees, and Nick Smith, who I believe is here, is helping us come up with ideas for that. But because of this building being redeveloped into new spaces, to try and really kind of play on that on the other side, to have wider areas that are going to feed into the station. And we've had recent discussions that are not developed yet about what's happening beyond here, which is going to be a development, and it's most likely that there's going to be a lot of change and that wall might not stay. So that on either side of the street there's a constant sort of change that we are having to be aware of, and it's influencing how we develop. The idea for it is definitely to have a more plaza approach because of its proximity to George Square. Yes, we could still have and will have some traffic access to Queen Street, but to be more of a plaza, more of a walkable area. Even and the ambitious idea of having water rails has been touted, because we think it just could be a really key space given the developments that are adjacent to it. So some ideas we have on lighting as well, and I think as well as Cathedral Square and Lower North Hanover, I think these are the two areas that we think lighting could be really key in our two avenue areas. Final slide. I suppose with the designs with Lower North Hanover, we have a strong kind of geometric plan in mind, and again it's just linked to these developments that are happening either side, but something bold and tactile, that could directly link down to George Square, in the hope that it will become pedestrianised one day. So this is fluid, but I think it's developing in the right direction. So I think we'll see what happens as we go forward. In terms of the next steps for us, we're quite well progressed with everything, but there's traffic work and transport info to be done, and we're hoping there'll be a public consultation in May sometime, and that maybe in the campus or somewhere. All right.